You're listening to the Storm Report, your weekly insight into the Manchester Storm, brought to you by Storm TV's Matty Finnigan.
Hello hockey fans, welcome to the Storm Report. This is episode 10 of your exclusive and official podcast for the Manchester Storm. Welcome to the Manchester Storm fans and welcome to the Fife fans as well for what will be quite a special episode as we have 3 guests on this show for you guys today. But before we get on to that, I need to address that there hasn't been an episode for a little bit. We kind of missed the Christmas and New Year's period. We've got a lot to catch up on. There's been a lot of hockey games, and it's a good thing that we have defenseman Joe Morrow in here with us to kind of go over the past couple weeks. So, first of all, becoming a bit of a regular on this show, Joe. How you doing?
Yeah, happy to be back. Happy to get things going again and provide some more information and keep the fans engaged and keep the players engaged too. So hopefully we keep getting more guests. This has been going really well. It's fun.
Yeah, you love to hear it. You love to hear it. I want to start with the winter whiteout games because I would bet someone with your resume, you've probably been in some very impressive winter whiteout crowds. And I wanted to know kind of, we make a big deal of it over here. We like to kind of emphasize it. We won one, we lost the other. But how did they go from a player's perspective?
I mean, from a player's perspective, it was awesome. I think that was a really fun turning point in the year to kind of bring a little festivity into the games and obviously the kits that we wear are super fun. Even not even from a fan perspective, but a player's perspective, they're really enjoyable to walk into a dressing room and see something like that. I thought that was an incredible design. Super, I mean, obviously super white, but just really fun to put on. And I'm glad we had one really good showing. The next game was pretty good. Obviously didn't get the outcome we wanted, but the fan base was incredible. I mean, we filled out the building and you see the towels waving and I've definitely played in some buildings that allow a couple more seats in there, but for atmosphere purposes, I thought that was awesome. I think that the Storm are doing an incredible job, and the fan base are doing an incredible job as well, supporting us. So that's a huge part of the battle.
The Boxing Day game was almost like a perfect Christmas present for the Storm fans. A win with a lot of goals put up as well. What was that game like from like a competitive standpoint? Because you played them again the next day. The result didn't go in our favor, but you have those back-to-backs and they're always so competitive.
Yeah, coming into something like that, I think everybody, talking to the guys on our side, I think everybody really enjoyed, getting that little reset away from hockey, getting that break, being able to truly enjoy Christmas time, and I know a lot of the guys got together and spent it together at kind of a different dynamic than what you do when you're preparing for games. So I think that helped us out a lot. The mental side of hockey, when you're playing a sport every single day, it kind of turns into Groundhog Day. Don't get me wrong; it's everybody's dream, and it's incredible. But once you get a little reset like that, you're so excited to come back and play. And when they promote that game, to be able to, sell a whiteout like that and the new kits and everybody is definitely looking forward to getting back on the ice after, I don't even know how many days it was without a game. It was definitely a week, if not more, maybe 8 days. But yeah, something like that just brings a lot of excitement back into the game. You just kind of, it's funny to say, but you miss it after after taking a break and not being on the ice for 3 or 4 days.
Well, it's a good job that when it did come back then, that the games didn't stop. They were pretty thick and fast. There've been 9 altogether. The overall record was we won 4 and we lost 5. 2 of those 5 losses were the most recent games. We had the one in the Storm Shelter against Cardiff. Started that game really well, but we kind of let them get back into it and then we kind of lost the game from there. What do you think happened in that game to make us lose it in the end?
Right. Yeah. I mean, Cardiff is an incredibly good team, and I know anybody you talk to would say the same thing. I personally don't like using that as a crutch to lean on when talking about a performance, but I think just the mental side of the game got away from us a little bit. Once you score 2 goals, I know it's definitely a cliche. They say 2-goal lead is the worst lead in hockey, just due to momentum purposes. But in your home building, you should be able to hold on to that lead for longer. You should be able to feed off the crowd and continue gaining momentum. And I think that we definitely dropped the ball in that one. not capitalizing on some key chances and letting them back in the game. So, I mean, obviously props to them for coming back and winning that game, but at the same time, there was a lot that needed to be focused on our end, and a good learning experience. And I think a lot of guys took that one to heart because it didn't feel too well. So from this point on, I think it's another little stepping stone that we need to turn around sooner than later.
You say it's a learning point, and I think you guys probably deserved it. Was probably a point for both teams, was probably a deservable outcome. But in the end, Cardiff took both of them, and we went away with nothing. And how can we the next chance to right those wrongs is against Fife this Saturday when the podcast comes out. How do we kind of right those wrongs? What have you learned, and what can we put into practice to make sure that we leave with both points from that game this weekend?
Yeah, I think everything was reviewed and thought on throughout the week so far through the duration of practices. I think there's a lot of points that just harp on, staying game ready and staying mentally involved. And I give a lot of credit to Mikey Mo behind the bench. He's done a great job in practices, being able to keep the mental side of things prepared. You watch some video, you kind of get to replicate how they play. You focus on the next game at hand, and you forget what's in the past, because obviously we can't change the outcome, but we can change the way that we play moving forward. So, he's done a great job, and from that aspect, this week has definitely been a focus of maintaining the highest quality of play that we can through 60 minutes. So, yeah, just throughout practice, you just keep a high intensity, keep focused, and you just keep on keeping on, I guess.
You mentioned that it's a mental game, hockey, as much as a physical one. And I wonder if it was maybe a task too tall. I know you don't like to use excuses or crutches, but playing that Coventry team after like the day before, they'd lost 5-0 to Sheffield. So they had a point to prove. They came back, they were back home, and they wanted to get those 2 points. Was it something that was noticeably tougher from the get-go, or kind of what went wrong with that game?
I would say that game was just again, I don't really know how to pick up excuses or make any for that. I just, from the bottom of my heart, I just think that was just a bad game. It was just a poor game of hockey, poor display, and I think a lot of guys on the team would just attest to that, saying that it just wasn't. Some days you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, and it just doesn't work for you. And there was quite a bit of effort in that game put forward, and there was, it's a team game, and you need everybody all at the same time. And to get that cohesive unit going consistently, that's when you see the best teams become the best teams and consistently stay at the top of the table. So I think we're getting in that direction. I think it was a little bit of a heartbreak against Cardiff to be able to throw that one away. And once you play back-to-back games, you just have to get right back into it. You can't dwell on it. And I think that was, yeah. I mean, I don't know what really to say that would answer that properly. I just think it was just a bad game. It was just a bad performance that we just can't let happen again.
The weekend before that, we took 4 points from the weekend, all available points. And then obviously last weekend, we weren't able to take any. So we have a chance this weekend to put things right and to start putting points back on the board and in our tally. But before we kind of get to talk into that, because we've got two guests coming on in just a moment that are going to kind of help us get through that, I want to kind of ask you, because we're halfway now, we're halfway through the season. What are the expectations in the dressing room? We've had a coaching change, we've had tough points, and we've had high points. What are the expectations come the end of the season? You've just played the final game. What are you hoping for?
I think the expectation, um, especially from myself, is that now you can see the hourglass, the sand running out on the opposite end. So once you're past halfway, I think that is the point in time where you really need to understand that every single day matters that much more. When you're on the first couple weeks of the season, it's almost like you got time to burn, you got points to burn. You have time and a lot of room for improvement. I think the focus in the dressing room now is that if we don't really put our heads together collectively and put the best possible performance we can on the ice every night, then it's starting to become, not only a waste of effort and a waste of time, but but it's just an unacceptable thing. And I think everybody's taking that to heart, just seeing how guys are starting to, perform in practice and in the games for the majority of the time, that we just don't have enough time anymore to have any sort of lulls in performance. So I think that's the expectation moving forward, is that you need to be 100% bought in, and now's our time to really band together and to put some really good performances on the ice.
And that, of course, next chance is this Saturday, and we are going to talk about that in just a moment. But before we do, I don't really know where you guys happen to be listening to this at the moment. It could be one of YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, but we're trying to kind of grow our platform and kind of see how many listeners we can get on each. So please do feel free to follow us on Apple Podcasts, follow us on Spotify, subscribe to us on YouTube, wherever you prefer to get your podcasts. We're there to be listened to, so why not give it a go? Thank you very much. Now then, as we're constantly trying to evolve the content on this podcast and bring you guys better content every single week, we've kind of got a different dynamic for this one. We're bringing not only a fan favorite and someone who is in high demand in Loren Ulett, but we're also bringing in some insight from behind enemy lines, because we've got from the Fife Flyers organization now, Austin Farley in. First of all, Austin, how you doing? Thanks for coming on.
Doing good. Happy to be here. Excited to, get on a podcast with my buddy Yules and Joe. And yeah.
What about you, Loren? You excited to be on?
Yeah, absolutely. Always fun to do these things.
It should be. It should be. I kind of want to get started in talking to you, Loren, about the first half of the season so far. I think there's a key point to start off with, and that was the first time, coincidentally, Storm played the Flyers. You had yourself a night there. You put up 4 goals, and that was pretty entertaining. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was definitely quite the feeling. Obviously missing the second half of last season with injury. And then coming back this year, not being sure if we were going to be starting the season or when I'd be back. It was definitely a good way to start off the year. And I mean, I'd never had a hat trick in pro before, so that was a pretty cool experience. Yeah.
Talk me through those feelings. Like you're going up to the game. Maybe you're not sure. Maybe it's more of a game time decision, but you're unsure as to whether you're going to be able to make the game. And then maybe 2 hours later, the game's done. You're like, wow, I've just done something pretty special.
Yeah, it was pretty surreal. I mean, like I didn't even really feel like I was playing that well. The puck just kept finding me, and I didn't remember like half the goals by the time the game was over. I had to kind of rewatch the tape and kind of see how I'd scored them all. But it was just kind of one of those situations where just everything kind of just went right for me that night. And yeah, definitely like a little bit of an achievement. So I felt a bit of pride in that. But I think the most important thing was that we won the game. And I mean, a lot of the teammates that we had were like, "Why do you look so angry after scoring?" But it was just we had a job to do, and that was kind of all it was we're chasing the game for majority of the night, and it just happened to be me that got lucky that night. So
it certainly made for a pretty entertaining third period, from what I remember. Joe, you were also out there on the ice for the Storm in that game. What can you remember from seeing all those goals? Do you remember them maybe more than Loren does?
Yeah, probably. I think you go back to the old saying. It's like you got to be good to be lucky. You got to be lucky to be good. So, I mean, right time, right place is a huge part of hockey. If you're putting yourself in good positions, you're going to get rewarded. So, I think it's just, again, it's a testament to a lot of players that just kind of play the right way. If they're in the right spots, you get rewarded, you get recognized for it. But I know it was early in the season, especially getting a good head start is good for the confidence, and it was just good to see, especially going somewhere like that. You travel all that way, you better get something out of it, kind of thing.
Certainly. It's good to see from a Storm perspective, but from an Austin Farley perspective, that was your first game against the Storm after having, I guess, been traded or from leaving the club altogether. What was that kind of like for you? Your former team, you come in, and then one of your former teammates from 2 different organizations has quite a good night. It was something to celebrate for one team, but for yourself, what were the feelings?
Obviously, at the end of the game, you're pretty happy for them. But like when you're playing and you're competing, like we said, we kind of have a job to do. And we are kind of buddies, but you're pretty mad definitely if he's he's tucking 4 on you. But like I said, after the game, you say hats off, good game. And but I do want to mention the last time he did come to Fife when I was on the Storm. If we want to go through that, Yules, how many times we sat in the nice penalty box that we had in Fife, because we were line mates, and last time it was a little different game.
I wondered if that was going to come up. Loren, you got a response to that?
Yeah, I mean, to start the night off, I got a cross-checking penalty for getting hit, and then later on in the game, I got a illegal equipment penalty for getting my helmet ripped off. I mean, probably if Farley got into some scrums, then maybe I would have got out unscathed. But I was on an island out there playing with him, so.
That had been the most penalties I've seen in a game by far.
That was one of the craziest games of my life.
That was a good record book one. That one, when they get thrown in the scrapbook for sure.
It was an entertaining game, but for completely different reasons. Now, Austin, the next game when we traveled up to Kirkcaldy, if I'm pronouncing that right, I don't know if you've learnt the pronunciation of the Fife town, but you led your team with 2 points in what was a 3-2 win against us in almost a reverse fixture. What can you remember from that game? Because you kind of got one up and almost equalized the head-to-head.
I had 2 points, huh?
You did indeed.
That's good. No, I don't remember too much of it. Like I said, it's always weird kind of playing your buddies, especially because when me leaving Nottingham, I didn't have the best time there, and for whatever reason, and it happens, and then coming into the Storm and just being kind of welcomed so graciously, like. That group was so tight knit, and obviously I knew Yules, but just kind of everyone, right from the start, like just welcoming me kind of into the group and saying like, hey, like I know you're new, but like we're all together in this, and so yeah, it is definitely strange to kind of play, but obviously you still compete at the end of the day, and it's a business that we do, but after the game or whenever you can. Just chat it out, and like I said, it's you're still competing during it, but after you're definitely like, wow, it was a little weird kind of playing each other.
And I bet the last time that we faced each other, because that was at the Storm Shelter, I bet that was even weirder, because you've been in the Storm Shelter plenty of times wearing what we know to be the traditional Storm colors of purple, but you've already been once, I assume, in the blue and yellow kind of tartan kind of dressing. But what's it like to be like an opposition player in the Storm Shelter?
Yeah, it's obviously not the best rink, I would say, and I think that's pretty in common knowledge. But it can get loud there, and I think they do a good job with the fans and the sound system, at least to kind of make that noise a little louder. And like I said, it was just kind of weird playing there from the different side, but. Obviously, the locker room isn't the greatest, but I was just happy Scoots didn't drench the away locker room, and we weren't soaked. So I've heard rumors that he's tried to do that before. So I was pretty happy about that. But other than that, yeah, like I said, like like I said, they welcomed me with open arms, and even the fans too as well. So I'm just happy I didn't get booed, and that means that I did something right when I was there in Manchester.
It was a good time having you as a member of the Storm. What was your what memories do you have? What sticks out to you in a couple of years' time when you're no longer playing? What if someone was to ask you about your time with the Storm? What was it like?
Yeah, like I said, like obviously when you go from a team that you didn't have, the greatest time, and at the end of the day, hockey's fun, and it's not. I know it's a job, but at the end of the day, we're playing a kid's sport, and definitely have a lot of memories. But like I said, that number one kind of just when they added me in that group chat and we were kind of going back and forth. Obviously, it was pretty known that I did run, or I was allegedly ran Winnie, which never happened. It was actually Solly who pushed me into Winnie. So I just wanted to make sure that, yeah, we kind of, cut the cord on that. And yeah, like I said, it was just pretty cool. We went on a pretty good heater too. So, practices were fun. And The way the schedule kind of lined up, we were able to kind of go to Manchester, and I forget the spot, that wing place that you guys would brought me to.
Jackson's.
Yeah, Bunny Jackson's.
Legendary.
Another shout out sponsorship deal for the boys here on the podcast. Shout out Bunny Jackson's.
Oh yeah, there we go. So yeah, that was a treat, and kind of just obviously like playing in Altrincham, like all the guys are kind of in one area. So it's super easy, even if you want to go to grab like a bite to eat or a beer or coffee or whatever, you guys, we're all like kind of in that area, which, even from my time in Nottingham, here as well in Kirkcaldy, like we are super spread out. And I think that's a big thing of why these guys were so close. And, they got to hang out all the time, and, they wanted to hang out, and just like being locally together in that area. And obviously Altrincham being so beautiful and having so many restaurants and little things to do, and the chance to, hop on that train or whatever and go to Manchester. So it was a good little area. And then, yeah, like I said, I didn't really have a bad time there. A couple good nights for sure with the boys, and yeah.
Do they have a Kennedy's version in Kirkcaldy there, or no? Have you found anything yet?
They do a little bit, but it's O'Connell's. It's not the little Irish pub feeling, it's a little bit more clubby, but
more clubby.
Yeah, more clubby. So I'm not.
Yeah, okay.
I'm getting too old for that nonsense, I think.
Yeah, I need to stick to the Kennedys. You need the old wooden benches and the crisp Guinnesses. Those are the go-tos.
The more you know, the more you know. Tell me a little bit more about what it's like to be a member of the Flyers organization, as that is where you are at the minute, and I'm sure we'll have some Flyers fans listening in for this.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I think everybody knows this year hasn't been the greatest for this organization. I think it kind of started off, we had a lot of faith in bringing these Kazakhstan guys over. And when you only have 3 lines and you have a full line of Kazakhstan guys, and who ends up leaving, we fired one. And then, everyone kind of started leaving. And with the new, I think it's that new rule there where if you fire, or like getting the player cards back to try to, gain more players has been difficult for us. And, we've had other players that came in and left, a Martin Lital that we thought, he was going to help us. He was obviously pretty good in Sheffield, and, it just hasn't worked out. We ended up firing the coach. So there's a lot of things like inside the dressing room that has weighed us down, and which was not really in our control, I'd say, which is the hardest part. So yeah, like obviously bringing in like a player, right, in Johnny Curran, he gives the more player vibe to try to make it a little more fun. But at the end of the day, when you're getting spanked 7-0, like it's not the greatest. But we are trying to find some positives, and there is still a long season left. And the biggest thing, like I've said, is always try to find some fun and just try to work together and just be together. And we're going through something that probably many people have never gone through. And yeah, so it's learning curve or whatever, and you gotta roll with the punches and find some positives out of what has been a lot of negativity.
So to kind of piggyback off of that, on a more serious note, what, like, as a player in the Fife organization, from what the fans would want to hear of your perspective, what kind of drives you guys to continue playing, and what would be something that is kind of ingrained in you to, I mean, I know you guys are kind of bottom of the table right now, and everything looks really bleak, but what's kind of like a message that the group of guys have kind of combined to be, to come together and try to force into a situation like this, like, just to kind of give the fans a little insight of what goes on in the dressing room? Like, what's kind of the message that you guys have come together to bring to the table from this point on to the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, great question. Like, first off, the fans have been still great to us, which is, some teams the fans would leave and that would be it, right? Like, shout out to them. That's been like the most encouraging thing too, as well as players. Like, right, like you're going to the rink and they're still there, which is cool. And they're it's not negative, which is, for me, is like, wow. But second is, just try to stick with it, right? Like in a team that has won more games, I think when you get down 2 goals, like you're like, oh, we can come back. We have come back, right? Like
Yeah.
right now, I think you get down 2 or 3, like we've had times where we just fold and I understand we're only human, right? And that's the hardest part. But I think that's the hardest part about playing the game when you're in that snowball effect of like, you're like, this is never going to end. So I think we just try to stick with it and find that positive, rather than have that negativity creep in, because when that constant negativity creeps in, it's just going to lead to, more depression and right. Like you're not, like I said, having fun, like we got a good group of guys for sure. Like I would never like say anyone's bad in our team, but it's like that mindset of, oh my God, here we go again. Right. Like
yeah, it's a collective unit. It's definitely like
for sure.
Negativity spreads faster than positivity does. And that's just kind of globally how it operates, like any news article, any interview, if it's negative, it'll spread like wildfire. But if it's, little Johnny that saves a kitten from a tree, maybe 15 people hear from it. So it just kind of is what it is. So if you guys have the fortitude to do that, I think that's a super important message to get to the fans of Fife that the boys are definitely not throwing the towel in. And I mean, we watch video and I've watched some of your guys' games and it doesn't look like that by any means, which is good to see.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with that too. Like you said, a lot of guys would have folded in the towel. And I think that's the character of, the guys we have. And, it might not look that great right now, but we still have 27 games left too. So
that's a lot.
Not saying that, hey, we're going to make playoffs or we can even get in playoffs, but let's string some wins together, string some positive, positivity in the locker room. And you never know, right? Like
exactly.
It's good to find the positives, absolutely. And there have been some recently with results against us, the Manchester Storm, and results against the Sheffield Steelers as well. That was a big game at home for you guys. And it's good that the fans still turn up and support, and we hope to see some of that in the Storm Shelter this weekend. Just before we kind of move on to that element, I want to ask about something that we can kind of all relate to, both Storm and Fife, because we both had a coaching change midway through the season. And this is where I'll bring Loren back into this, because I want to get your perspective first on what it's like halfway through a season to change coaches, to almost change hockey philosophies, either drastically or maybe even just a little bit. Has it happened in your career before? Or if so, what was it like this time?
Yeah, it happened to me once in KC. But basically that season, that was the COVID year. So we lost the coach, and then about 2 weeks later, the whole world shut down. So this is definitely a new experience, kind of having it happen this early on in the year. I mean, like obviously it's a competitive industry, but at the same time, it's a lot different than kind of like a sales role where you're really good friends with kind of everyone that you come across, that you kind of overused trope, but you're a family here, so you never want to see anyone lose their job. But I think at the same time, this is a way more skilled team, I think, this year than we had last year. As a whole, I think we have a lot more depth, and we just weren't performing up to the standard that we need to have. And after Mike's come in, I think we're 500 or just above 500. So, I mean, definitely been a change in perspective in the room. There's a lot more belief, I think, going into games, and I think with kind of big situations that happen or big changes like that, sometimes it brings a group closer together, and you kind of have to do it for the guy next to you, because the guy that you're doing it before has changed, So I think we responded really well as a team and as an organization to the change, and just hoping that we can keep it continuing on.
I think that it can definitely like unite a group of players when you have something that you're all experiencing like that. And I think like Austin, from a player's perspective, when everything kind of changes, as fans, we have to get used to the power play looks slightly different, and certain fans get it, certain fans don't. I've been on both sides as I've kind of grown into hockey. But you guys are the ones that have to do the hard work. You have to get it, and be it in training and definitely in the games. And what's it like almost having to learn these new systems? Sometimes you get like half a week to prepare, depending on when the coach gets dropped at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think for us, we did it. We did it at a strange time because we played over that Christmas and kind of that New Year's. You play so many games, you're not really practicing. I guess that was for us. So you're not kind of working on those systems or anything. So it was a little bit of challenging for us. But I think, yeah, like Yule said, if you're not performing, and it's kind of sad, but it's the coach is kind of the first one to go, and it can kind of spark some more jump in the guys, and that's why it kind of happens. But yeah, it's just kind of like when you're learning those new systems, it's like you're kind of back in August again, which isn't the greatest for players, I'd say, because right now is kind of the fun time. You're pushing to try to get in a playoff spot or win the league or whatever. And so like going back to like learning more systems, for me personally, I don't love it, but it is what it is. It's your job, and that's what you have to do.
It can certainly be a challenge, and it's testament to you guys for being able to do it and for being able to grind out results. And the next chance that you guys have to get a result is this Saturday at the time that you guys will be listening to this at home in the Storm Shelter when you guys come head to head. Austin, I'll go for you first. I want to know how you think this game's going to go. Tell me how you prepare to play a team like the Manchester Storm. What are you looking for?
In their rink, I think it switches a little bit because obviously it's a little smaller. You got to put more pucks on net. They do a good job. They're strong. They're big boys and mobile. And you got to get to Winnie. Obviously, Winnie's been a prestige goalie in this league for a while. So, you just got to get there, and it's more grinded out hockey. And yeah, so I think it'll be a good game. And like I said, we're trying to get better, and what wouldn't be better than get our first win in quite a long time against the Storm. So.
And Loren, how do you stop them from doing that? Because obviously we want to see the Fife Flyers start to put a string of wins together, but we don't want to see it happen in the Storm Shelter. How can we stop them?
Yeah, they can do it on Sunday or whenever their next game is after us. I don't really care. But yeah, for us, it's just, I think it's attention to details. I think, like I said, I think we're a really deep team. So whether that's making your offense from the D side of the puck, because we know that Fife likes to fly and they got a lot of skill up front. So if we're creating our chances from the D side of them, then we can kind of slow down their transition offense and then also just kind of build our own chances off of that.
Very technical response. I like it. I want to ask him more. I want to ask a more of a, I guess, playful question, if that's the word. I want to ask about when you guys go against each other, having known each other, having been teammates, having gone through good times and hard times in different teams. Now you're against each other, and let's say you're both going towards a board.
He doesn't want it. I'll tell you that. He doesn't want. He doesn't want the. He doesn't want the smoke. Like, come on.
Say it's a 50-50 puck battle, and you guys are skating towards a board. What happens? Do you let off, or do you put the whole shoulder in?
For me, it wouldn't do anything. I don't think so.
Yeah. Farley hasn't thrown a hit in 14 years, so I'm not really too concerned about him. Obviously, I'm a bit more physical than he is, but I've been pretty gracious. I mean, when he was in Nottingham, I let him live a couple times, and then
that was the one time. That one time, I was seeing something different, man. I was like in an awkward position though, and I was like going back for the puck as a defenseman, and obviously I don't do that much, and I had Ewell's barreling down on me, and I'm like, oh no, what do I do here?
I think for the people that don't watch hockey every night, I think maybe it's time to pull up the hockey DB height and weight of each player on the podcast and just take the ramifications for what it is. If that's what it comes down to, I think it would put a lot of perspective on the conversation. I think
my weight on DB is wrong too by about 25 pounds. So,
oh, was that last year or what?
No, that was from when I was like 13. So,
yeah, there you go. It's just a bit of a David versus Goliath type vibe over here.
Hey now.
I think David won that one though.
Yeah. No.
Hey.
Not bringing religion or politics into the cast. Never mind. We'll pick something else.
I guess the question is, do you, when you're skating and you're going up against someone that's a friend or a former teammate, do you at all pull punches, or is, like you say, is it all business, Loren?
I mean, I'd be lying if I said I'm gonna try and hit my buddies as hard as I hit anybody else. And I mean, it's so tough sometimes because the league's so small. Like we have 10 teams, so you kind of get a relationship with everybody. And then there's some guys that you're definitely going to finish 100% on every single time. And then there's other guys that, maybe I don't want to make this hit right now. Like I'll give them like, hey, move it quick. But if I tell you to move it quick and you don't do it that time, you make me look bad. Then like the next time, I don't care who you are, you're getting hit. So, but again, like my game is physical. I'm strong on pucks. I got to be fast, and I have to play my game because end of the day, that's my job. But I'd definitely be lying if I didn't tell you that I gave some guys some outs or some chances sometimes. So.
There you go. There you go. First chance to watch these guys back in action will be this Saturday. If you've not already got your tickets, be it if you're traveling down from Scotland or if you're just traveling from Altrincham, be sure to get those tickets. Pack out the arena for us so we can have ourselves a really good game of hockey. But of course, before we get to what might end up being a fan favorite segment in the Cup of Joe segment, I want to kind of ask. This isn't the only game that we play this week. We also have a trip to Belfast to kind of contend with. And this is where I'll ask a question to you, Joe, for the first time in about 20 minutes. What's the feelings going into Belfast?
I think there's always a lot of excitement going to Belfast. If anybody's watched the game there or has seen their live stream or anything, it's definitely the highest of the professional status you can get in this league for sure. Their building is incredible. Their cast is very proper. It's very well thought out. So going to play in a building like that is always fun. There's a lot of excitement around it too because it's fun to change it up, get on a flight, fly over there. Normally you'd stay overnight, which is even more of an incentive to win the game so you can go enjoy yourself with all your buddies after. But they've just been such an established organization in this league for a long time. I think that it's always an other side of the fun that you get to go up and play against one of those guys that it's always a good challenge. So I think this weekend is vastly important for us. Like I said, I think that hourglass is flipped. We're basically halfway through the season, and if you don't start doing what you're supposed to start doing now, you just run out of time. So I think that's definitely the importance going in this weekend for us.
Definitely. Good performances against all types of teams, and Belfast is a team that we played a couple times at home. I don't know if we've necessarily had the chance to really go and travel and play them too much so far this season. I believe we have more of that to look forward to. But there is someone here in Austin that's played Belfast a lot more than we have. If you were to give the Storm locker room like a team talk heading into that one, things to focus on, things to kind of what can you do to kind of get round Belfast and try and get the 2 points? What would you say from your playing experience?
They're no joke from their back end to their forwards. They're deep and they play good hockey. They play together. They play all four lines, and the biggest thing they have an elite power play. So it's whenever you play against top guys, you got to limit their time and space, as Joe as a defender would know. And like I said, don't play run and gun with them. Play to your strengths. And we haven't obviously had the best of games against them, but obviously like Joe said, it's kind of do or die time already. You can't wait, and you can't wait till find your wins later in the season because other teams are winning now too. So best of luck, fellas, and enjoy the night after.
There you go. There you go. The last thing that we have to do then now is the Cup of Joe segment. It's a time where I kind of shut up, take a back seat, and let Joe ask all these weird and wonderful questions. Take it away.
Right. A little rapid fire for the boys. We'll go with Farrell's first. So just you don't get time to answer these. It's just whatever first comes to mind. You just fire it off. There's only probably I think there's only 10 of them.
All right.
So if you're a cartoon character, who would you be?
SpongeBob.
What has been your favorite age so far?
21.
Nice. That's my answer too. What do you wish you had learned sooner?
That after 30, it's downhill.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. Best concert you have attended?
Eric Church.
Ooh, solid. Which teammate's life would make the best reality TV show?
Teammate on Manchester?
No. Your teammate now, Fife.
Oh, Noah Dalmas.
Okay.
He's a character, man.
I love that. What creeps you out?
Snakes.
Invisibility or super strength?
Invisibility, you can't catch me.
Scuba diving or skydiving?
I've been scuba diving. I haven't been skydiving, so I would like skydiving.
Okay, and give me 3 things a person needs to be happy.
3 things a person needs to be happy.
Yeah. What do you need to be happy? Give me 3 of them.
Sunshine, a cocktail on the beach,
Yeah.
and money.
There you go. I love it. You killed it. That was solid. All right, Yules.
Those
you
are
ready?
good questions, though. I like those.
Are they the same questions?
I would say I think I might have 2 different ones, but the majority will be the same. So you
Yeah,
got
you
the
can't
home
give
ice-
them all the
you got
same,
the home ice
man.
advantage.
Perfect.
Advantage. All right, so we'll start. Would you rather be rich or healthy?
Healthy.
So if you were a cartoon character, who would you be?
Frozone.
Oh, that's good. Where's my super suit, dog? So what's been your favorite age so far?
30 right now.
Nice. Best concert you've attended?
I saw Creed this summer.
Oh, hell yeah. What do you wish you learned sooner?
Money's not everything.
Okay. Okay. What creeps you out?
Like those silverfish bugs.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Invisibility or super strength?
I already got super strength. We'll go invisible.
Nice. Okay. And give me 3 things you need to be happy.
Faith, family, finances.
Wow. Okay.
Triple F.
That was easy for you. All right,
Yeah.
man. Boys killed that one. I'm impressed. That was good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I enjoyed that one. There were some good answers in there. I've already got super strength. You need to get that on a t-shirt at some point, I'm sure.
Merch.
There you go. Just some free ideas. But yeah, that'll do it for this episode. I want to say a massive thank you to the 3 of you for making this hopefully the best podcast yet. We'll see what everyone thinks. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Unreal. Appreciate it.
And of course, probably the biggest thank you to all of you guys listening. I hope you've all enjoyed it, be it a Storm fan or a Fife fan. I hope you've really enjoyed yourselves. And of course, as always, this is accessible anywhere on your Apple Podcasts, your Spotify, or your YouTube. And if you want to know any more information about where you can find it, then you know how to do that. That's on the Instagram or the X page. Thank you so much for giving us your time and attention this week. And I look forward to seeing you on Saturday when the Storm take on Fife.
That was the Storm Report, brought to you by Storm TV. Tune in next week for more exclusive insights. Tickets on sale now at manchesterstorm.com.